Please be seated. The court is now back in session, and again the floor is given to the lead co-lawyers for civil parties to continue putting further questions to the civil party. Again, good afternoon, Mr. President, judges, and the parties, as well as Madam Civil Party. I'd like to continue my questioning to the civil party. Before the break, Madam Civil Party, you said that one of the militiamen spoke before they left your sleeping quarter, and you stated the following: that is good, that is you had to produce children for Angkar. When he says that you have to produce children for Angkar, what did you understand? And the militiamen spoke of similar phrases during the wedding ceremony, and during the time that they spied upon us, they said the same thing. They said it's good that we produce children for Angkar. However, in my mind, I did not see any children producing children for Angkar, because subsequently couples disappeared. And I did not see any children born as a result of the marriage of those couples. Question: can you tell the chamber what your husband did to you during the third night? Can you elaborate a bit further in detail? Answer: yes, I can do that. During the third night, he tore my pants away while the militiamen were standing there and watching, and I could not do anything because my hands were tied. He then raped me. I bled after the rape, and the bleeding continued for a period of 2 months. And those militiamen who were watching us said that it was good that we could produce children for Angkar. That's what I heard. After they said that, they laughed and they walked away. Question: did you resist, or did you fight back against anyone? And when I did not see the militiamen, I resisted my husband's attempt. He tries to tie me up, and I assisted, and I resisted. He slapped me, and then I saw militiamen, and then I stopped resisting, and he could have tied me up. Question: you said that you saw the militiamen, and upon seeing them, then you stopped resisting. Why did you have to do that? Answer: because I had been fashioned for the first and second night, and I feared that the third night, if I resisted, I would be dead. I resisted when I did not see the militiaman, when he tries to tie me to a pole in the house, and he stripped the clothes of me. And later on, he raped me while under watch of the militiaman. Question: were you scared when the militiaman came to watch over what happened to you, or what your husband did to you? And I was very scared at the time. I was young and I did not know where I could run and ask for help. I was thinking how I would be mistreated that night on the subsequent nights. And on the fourth night, I did not sleep there. I did not eat my meal. I ran to my mother. During the second night, I was rescued by my uncle. I was raped during the third night, and the fourth night, I ran to my mother's for help. And my mother told me that she could not help me because she did not even know that I had married, and that she had to look after my siblings as well, and that I should leave because if they came and caught me there, then all my siblings would also be killed. I told her that I was hungry, I did not have any food to eat, and I just came from work and the bleeding did not stop. So my mother wants to cut the top part of the sugar cane and mix it with salt and gave it to me to drink. Rather the pumpkin leaves. I ate it and then I went with my friend who also appeared in the video. I didn't dare to stay there because I was afraid that my family members would be killed. Question. Until the third night that you was mistreated, and you made mention that you was a very young girl at the time. And my apology if my word is rather rude. Can I ask whether you had your period yet before you got married? Answer. I was very young. I did not know what period even meant, or whether I was mature. I did not have a period after I was raped, but I bled for over a month. I drank some herbal medicine that my mother found for me. Question. How long did you live with your mother until you left her? Answer. I ran to my mother and I stayed with her for only about 2 hours. After she cooked the leaves of a pumpkin, she gave it to me. I drank it, then I had to leave because I was afraid that they would call me there and then my parents and siblings would be killed. Question. Did you know that militia followed you before or after you met your mother? Answer. I did not know whether the militiamen went to my mother's house after I had left, since I had no contact with my mother at all after that. I was not allowed to live with my mother, and my mother was fearful of her life and the lives of my siblings as well. Question. What about after the fall of the Khmer Rouge regime? Did your mother tell you if a militiaman came to look for you at her house? Answer. I did not meet her from the day that I left until the time the regime fell. Question. So after the fall of the regime, and you said that you met your mother, did your mother ever mention that militiamen followed you to her house? Answer. Yes, there was, but I did not want to talk about what happened during the regime. She said that after I got married, and the militiamen came to arrest someone. However, that person had a knife and killed that militiaman. And she said that if Comrade Ko did not kill that militiaman, then my mother would die. However, later on, Comrade Ko died. Because when the militiamen came to look for me, then there was a fight between the militiaman and that man, and then the militiaman was stabbed through the side of his rib, and as a result, he died. Question. You spoke about someone named Sad. Are you referring to your husband? Because I heard you said that someone who fight by the militiamen named Sad. Do I understand you correct? Answer. He was at the economic section. I only knew his name, and my mother mentioned his name, and that he stabbed Ko to death. Otherwise, my mother would die. That's what my mother told me in person. Question. Can you tell the chamber when you were forced to get married? Because I did not ask you earlier. That is, how long was it before the regime fell? Answer. I do not understand your question. Please rephrase it. Question. Until the arrival of the Vietnamese, that is after the fall of the Khmer Rouge regime in 1979, how long had you been married? That is, how many months you had been married before 7 January 1979? Answer. I got married in the later part of the year where the Vietnamese entered the country. And I did not know how many months exactly, because I did not have a calendar or a watch or a clock to refer to. I could say that it happened 5 or 6 months before the arrival of the Vietnamese. Question. Thank you. I will spend about 5 more minutes, and then I would cede the floor to the co-prosecutors. Madam Civil Party, can you tell the chamber what you did during the Khmer Rouge regime? And during the Khmer Rouge regime, after I left my mother, I was placed in a children unit. Then they said that I was mature enough, so I was transferred to a mobile unit. And 2 or 3 months after I was in the mobile unit, and here is an estimate only, that I was in a mobile unit for about 3 months. I was required to mix cow dung with water in order to make fertilizer, because I did not like the cow dung, since I saw worms in there, and I did not want to use my hands to stir, to mix it with water. And They scolded me that why I use a piece of wood to stir the cow dung with water, and that person actually hit me with the head of a hoe on my head, and there is still a scar here. I was also so skinny during the regime. I did not have any strength in me. Sometimes I fell while I walked. Comrade Eun had a horse, and she was on a horseback, and sometimes she whipped me and I fell onto the ground at the rice field. And I asked why I was whipped, and she says that it just pleased her. And there are scars on my body. I have a scar on my head and scars on my leg as well. Question. I'd like now to move to another topic that is in relation to your uncle and your grandfather. Can you tell the chamber what happened to them? That is your grandfather, your uncle, and your father. And my father was a former soldier. As for my grandfather, he worked in the royal palace, and his house was at Chaba Amper. My father was a former soldier. He was sent to fight from Khmer area to Pusat province. Question. What happened to them? Did they survive? Answer. No, I don't see them anymore. They were evacuated to Pusat and then were to Khna Toteng commune. They use a motor-driven loudspeaker to make an announcement that former soldiers and rank soldiers should wear their uniforms, and they would be driven to Pusat in order to have their positions reinstated. Other former officers, including people who work in the royal palace, should say so, and they will be sent to return to their previous work. And that's what my grandfather did. My father also wore his military uniform, and I wanted to go along with him as well, but my mother stopped me. So he was taken away. He was putting on a truck heading to the southward direction, and I did not know where he was taken to. But I don't have any further question for you, Madam Sivapati, and I thank you for answering my questions. And Mr. President, I don't have any further question for this Sivapati. President, thank you, and I'd like now to give the floor to the Deputy Co-Prosecutor to put questions to the civil party.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good afternoon, Your Honors. Good afternoon, Counsel, and good afternoon, Madam Civil Party. My name is Andrew Boyle, and I'm going to be asking you some questions on behalf of the co-prosecutors this afternoon. I will probably be asking you one or two questions about some of the video clips that we saw. I'm going to try not to play those clips again in the interest of time. But could you please tell the court how you got involved with the making of the film, The Red Wedding?
Before I participated in the filming process, I was interviewed by a civil party lawyer about my marriage while I was young under the Khmer Rouge regime.
And was it your civil party lawyer that introduced you to the documentary makers that made the film?
lodged my victim information form, and maybe because the information that I mentioned that I was young when I was married, then they came to engage me in the filming process.